Arsenal beat their North London rivals Tottenham Hotspur at their stadium 3-2 in an incredible win that puts them firmly in the title race. With Arsenal not being at their best, but some of the players really stepping up, one of them players was Kai Havertz, who yet again was fabulous and was definitely the man of the match on the day. But why was Kai so good in this game, and how has he transformed himself at Arsenal? Well, let's get into it. Now, it's safe to say that Kai Havertz is definitely becoming some sort of cult hero at Arsenal. Not only did he get a goal and assist, which makes it 12 goals and assists in just his last 8 games playing up front, he also tweeted a meme of his mood after beating Tottenham. But not only was Kai Havertz deadly in front of goal, getting the goal and the assist that mattered, I think he was very important in this whole game and was really good and probably the best player on the pitch. Now, the first thing he was very important for this game was the fact that he was winning aerial duels to get Arsenal up the pitch. Now, this necessarily didn't work exactly how Arsenal wanted to, and a lot of times they were losing the ball despite Havertz winning the original header. But this was mostly down to miscommunication with Raya, and sometimes the passes weren't good enough. But there was times where you could see the original ideas, such as Havertz coming deeper to head the ball on and Odegaard running in between the lines. Now, if you're a better runner in between the lines, I think this probably would have worked better, but it did work a few times getting Arsenal up the pitch. Now, Tottenham continued to play their high line system, but also tried to play a very aggressive system, especially in the first half at trying to win the ball back. Instead of getting Havertz to run in behind, which we've tried this season to decent effect, which has worked, but I think in this game with the pace of people like Van de Ven, it probably wasn't the best. Havertz actually played quite deeper than he usually does. This was because Tottenham were trying to man-to-mark us going defensively, and they had a man on each of our defenders, and even Rice, they had one of their midfielders on when Rice would come deeper to progress the ball. We split our centre-backs, so Gabriel and Saliba were very far away from each other, but that just meant one of the wingers could cover one of them, and the two midfielders coming deeper didn't mean they got any space. This and the fact that the wingers were also being shadow marked gave us not many options to pass out the ball at the start, other than a glaring space in the middle which Havertz accepted and took up. And this happened a few times where we'd shift the ball into Havertz and he did brilliant control to go past a few players and put the ball through to Odegaard. This is when Odegaard had also broken through the lines and had some space created because Havertz is bringing the midfielders towards him when he brings the ball down. And in this game you can definitely see what Havertz has learned from his midfield positions that he's had at the team, that left half space. He definitely took into good use in this game because he knew how he had to do a lot of defensive work with the aggression that Tottenham are going to have, and the fact they've obviously got much more fresher legs than Arsenal, so they're obviously going to bring the intensity. He definitely did a great job. Partey and Rice were specifically really good in this game, and they worked well with each other the whole time. One would go deeper and one would be aggressive on the ball. There was a few examples where this ball would go down to the wings and we wouldn't actually make Tomiyasu go and get it because we'd keep a very narrow formation with our defence. This meant people like Trossard, Partey have to go out there while Havertz is always helping. He almost acted like a bit of a sweeper in midfield and would always be an outball if you could get it to him. And not only did he do the outball brilliantly, he would also bring the ball into midfield within space. He wasn't afraid to run at Tottenham's defence, which just shows the confidence I think he has right now, and he wasn't afraid to make runs and give space to other people. And from his touch map you can see where he was picking up most of the ball the whole time. He was very much in that left deep space where Arsenal would keep picking up the ball because Tottenham would go out wide and they would be aggressive to try and win the ball back. It's not necessarily Havertz's job to always win it back, but it's his job to be close enough so he can be a willing passer and run with the ball out, and I think he did that brilliant. But there would also be times where himself he would stand on business. He had to go out and try and mark some of the wingers, especially later on in the game, because obviously we had a lot of people back. And when Martinelli came on instead of Trossard, Martinelli was that player that was going to be the break option, so Havertz had to be the aggressor in the tackle. And he did really well. There was many a times where he'd stand on the defender, and there was many times where he'd be very good in the tackle and not be afraid to make the right decision and get Arsenal the ball back even if it's deeper on the pitch. And the defensive work that he was putting in this game is definitely commendable. He made 4 clearances, 4 headed clearances, 7 defensive actions, 3 recoveries, and was only dribbled past twice. As someone who was literally the striker of the team, doing that amount of defensive work in a big derby is definitely commendable. And I thought he's so important, especially later on in the games where the other team are lifting balls into the box and he can keep winning headers and clear the ball away. And we all know Havertz is a fighter. He's going to scrap around and annoy the other team, but in this game he was also so prolific with his duels. He had 12-1 and lost 7, but he was in so many yet again. And the thing that really stands out to me is he won 8 out of his 10 aerial duels. He was so dominant against Tottenham's team, which is not as physical as ours and not as big as what Havertz can be. And Havertz was just easily winning headers all around the pitch to get us in great positions. And the best header he did on the day was obviously the great goal he scored against Tottenham Hotspur. It's obviously obviously only 5 yards out, and you expect Havertz to score that any day, and a lot of credit has to go to Nicholas Jova, who obviously did a great tactic once again. And he does the thing we've seen all season where he starts back post. This time he was marked by Kulusevski, and he does brilliant movement to get into the middle, but actually blocks Kulusevski with another Tottenham player twice. So then Kulusevski gives up on the chance to head and block Havertz, and Havertz is able to go in and have a free header just 6 yards out. And considering he was so dominant in the air all game, I don't really expect him to miss this at all. You wouldn't anyway. But that run was just a small example of the runs that he was making all game. He was having to win duels and headers from deep, and then he was making really good progressive runs through the defenders every single time. There's a few he did in the first half on the right side, getting us further up the pitch, and in the second half he did it on the left side. He had no problem with overlapping Saka on this side and then all Trossard on the other. He was happily help the other team get closer to the goal and was in any place to facilitate any other player. And you can just see why Arteta signed him, because in the second half when Arsenal had backs against the wall and Tottenham were coming back into the game, he was just such a good person to pass it to. All the time you'd see over the top balls to him anywhere on the pitch. And not only would he continue running like he does all game, he tries his hardest, he did brilliant hold up play and was a proper centre forward in this game, really bringing other players into the game and overall helping the team sustain this result. And of course he got that brilliant assist for Saka as well. His passing was actually pretty decent in this game, much better than it has been in lots of others, and he made 20 out of his 28 passes, but also did 5 passes into the final third and created 2 chances. His 46 touches were key, and even with the assist, it is a brilliant play for him. He of course takes his time like Havertz always does, but this time it was not at our detriment, and he actually does a brilliant ball to Saka, who does a great first touch and puts it into the back of the net. But anyone breaking is exactly what you want to see. Havertz actually moves into a great position to even come into that left side when we're breaking, to figure out that's where the space is needed. Everyone else pretty much goes in the position that they're supposed to, and Havertz goes in the position he thinks is the best, which makes him probably the best player at that role at the team. Anyone that's been watching the content from the start of the season will know I'm a massive Kai Havertz fan, and I've always done videos about how I think he is good. But I don't think I am coping anymore. This is literally factual. He is one of Arsenal's best players. He is so good in every role in the team and is such a great facilitator, and at his age at 24 you can't really argue with his output being up front, scoring and getting many assists like he is. And when you put into factor that he was apparently unwell before the game, he was the difference maker on the day. Calm in possession, great on the ball, a brilliant dual monster, and was also the hero of the day, getting the goal and assist that actually sent us back to top of the league and made us beat our biggest rivals, Tottenham Hotspur. Let me know who you think was man of the match in this game, and let me know how good you thought Kai Havertz's performances have been for the recent times or were in this game, and do you think Arsenal can win the league, because it's definitely still possible when you have players like this. I appreciate your view as always, and if you like this video please like and subscribe, and go and watch my video yesterday where I did my reaction to the game. If not, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.